My name is Livius Feinbaum. I'm the regional systems engineer for Netskope in the tri-state area. I'm going to present about 4 slides, and then we're going to spend the rest of the time on a live demo. So a little bit about Netskope. We came out of stealth mode 13 months ago. The company started about 25 months ago. We are on Series C. Our initial funders are Social Plus Capital, and then Lightspeed Venture Partners was the B round. And most recently, led by Excel Partners, we are currently funded at about $57 million. We have a pedigree of engineering. Folks, founding partners, founding members of companies like Palo Alto, VMware, McAfee, so some rich engineering pedigree on the Netskope team. What Netskope was built to address was the new challenge of the cloud adoption by enterprise. Some of you may be familiar with the term shadow IT, the apps that you don't know about, the apps that you don't sanction. So a number of IT leaders, security leaders are asked the question, how many apps do you estimate are actually running on your networks today? And think about the endpoints here. It's not just the fixed assets behind the perimeter that are managed, but it's the mobile assets that are managed, and it's also the mobile assets that are not managed, and it's also the mobile assets that leave the perimeter. So the enterprise is not really defined as the perimeter of the network, but it's also outside of that perimeter. And so the answer to that question that I asked very often is underestimated by 90%. And there's a tremendous amount of redundancy in different app categories that we find. And so Netskope was developed around solving this problem for the sanctioned apps, for the unsanctioned apps that are known, and for the unsanctioned apps that are unknown. So the discovery, the reveal of shadow IT. How do apps get in? Well, I kind of alluded to it just now. There are the enterprise-wide sanctioned apps. Think, for example, O365 or G apps. There will be departmentally led introductions of apps. Salesforce.com will not be introduced by the IT department or the HR department. It will be produced by the revenue generation department or the line of business. And then the bottom 20%, these numbers are coming from our own research, our own experience from enterprise data using our services. Every one of us is a member of the shadow IT community. We have smartphones. We download our favorite, whether it's a Box Sync app or Evernote or Mobile Day, my personal favorite. And those apps have access to our data on our endpoints, and they're providing us value add by taking that data, transforming it somehow, and giving us their value add, so user-led. So what Netskope does is provide discovery, visibility, and granular control for safe cloud enablement. One of our 2 primary products is called the Netskope Active Platform. For the more technical questions that I will anticipate, we are a cloud proxy. We have methods of getting the enterprise devices to steer the interesting cloud traffic through the cloud proxy. And by inserting Netskope inline through those methods, we provide real-time granular control of any cloud app, sanctioned or unsanctioned or unknown. Deep contextual visibility. We have cloud DLP. We will do pattern matching of contents within a file as it traverses that cloud proxy. And finally, we cover a growing set of endpoints. We've had an iOS solution since day one. I have the beta version of the Android solution on my Galaxy now. Obviously, Windows and Mac for fixed or mobile assets. We can consume enterprise logs, and enterprise logs are wonderful. We'll be able to identify who went to what app and the volume of data exchanged. We'll do correlation of our risk research across some 5,000 apps. That number is growing with the enterprise logs, and we'll tell you, what are your potential risks. That's offline. Inline, where we get inserted inline, we can do inspection of the individual app layer transaction. So what's the difference between Netskope and some of the mature and in production perimeter security measures? We won't only tell you where Jonathan went, Evernote, Google Apps, but we'll tell you whether Jonathan shared a file and whom he shared it with and what was the file name. If David uploaded a file and you have DLP policy, we will do the pattern matching against that file that was uploaded or downloaded, so long as the container traverses the cloud proxy. That is for data in motion. For data at rest in corporate instances of apps, so think of the Salesforce where the enterprise is contracting and buying a slice of it. Think of the Google apps, the O365, where there's a corporate instance of those services. We will do what's called introspection. We will inventory all of the users, and we will inventory all of the users' objects, and we will expose policy to subject selective objects to a DLP treatment in our cloud, and we will then render verdicts and allow you to take actions like change ownership, like encrypt the content, like restrict its sharing from public to just the approved domain, etc. So I promised 4 slides. I think I'm still within my promise. I'm going to the demo, and what I will start with is a little bit about our discovery and visibility tools. So whether you're using Netskope for log analytics, so completely offline, or for inserting Netskope in the line of the transaction from your iPhone, from your Windows endpoint, from an Android endpoint, or whether you're using Netskope to monitor the contents, the inventory, user and object-wise of your corporate instance, we are amassing metadata about those data movements and about those object changes. And so one of the discovery features here, this is a flexible tool. We're going to mine some of that data. Let's pick a time window of 30 days. Everything repaints here. We've got a number of apps discovered. We've got a number of users. We catalog the 5,000 and growing list of apps across some 50 different categories: BI, cloud storage, CRM. I can apply a filter to just look at the 21 cloud storage apps that have been observed to have been used over the last 30 days. I can look at some consumption details about those 21 apps, cumulative duration against the apps within the time window, cumulative sessions, bytes up, bytes down. There's a risk component here. 10 minutes does not give opportunity to do it justice. So I will ask that you just accept for the basis here. Our independent research of the 5,000 apps is across 40 different data points, ranging from high availability, ranging from segregation of data, ranging from vulnerabilities with which they may be afflicted, ranging from whether they allow sharing of data, and several others, certifications that they have in a given industry, SOC 2 compliancy, SOC 3, SAS 70, etc. So all of those, I just gave examples of the 40 points that we research proactively. All of those roll up into a rating of excellent, high, medium, poor, and low. So this is a quick column of, well, iCloud has a poor rating. Let's go inspect how they earned a poor from Netskope. It is based on the CSA's Cloud Control Matrix framework, so there is a semblance of standardization to it. I can look at a particular user, for example. I can just click, for example, let's say Jamie. By clicking, I have populated it a second criteria. in my query. So now it's 30 days of Jamie's usage. I still have my cloud storage filter on. I can see Jamie has been observed to use 6 cloud apps. And if I remove the storage filter, well, Jamie's busy. She is our CMO, and she's using an awful lot of apps in that 30-day period. So ease with which one can do a pivot analysis of cloud usage. It can be by time window. It can be by top app. It can be by users. It can be by devices as well. We will recognize the sourcing device. That is all encoded in user agent strings. I'm getting a warning here, so I'm going to fast forward, and I'm actually going to do some live usage here. So we're looking at the pile of all of the events that we track, and I want to call your attention to the last 3 columns: activity, variable, and value. The Cloud Proxy recognizes the Web API transactions between the user agent and the cloud service provider. And so we know when there's been a tweet, a follow, a post. We know when there's been a download. And nothing is better than a live demo. So let me go to Twitter and tweet presenting at NYETM now, exclamation point. Tweets. Okay, so I just completed a cloud transaction. If I just change my time window, the last 60 minutes, that will refresh my view. The time on my machine is 8:22. At 8:22, from a New York IP in this room, my name is Livius. I work at Netskope. I posted a tweet presenting at NYETM now, exclamation point. We do this kind of recognition for our aspiration is 5,000 apps and growing. We are covering the majority of apps that you will find that are IT-led and that are departmentally led, and we're expanding to that shadow IT use case rapidly. I think I've run out of my time, so I'll take questions. Yes?
So is this something that you anticipate people will put on their own personal cell phones in like a BYOD scenario, or something that would just be by default loaded to the company-issued phone device?
So our target is the enterprise, any enterprise. We're not specific to any one vertical. And then it comes down to, I think the question reduces to, how do we address the non-managed asset?
Right.
And so depending upon the business use case, we have an endpoint that can be deployed, whether it's WinMac or whether it's a mobile device. If you're talking about a sanctioned cloud app, and in particular, if you're providing access control to that sanctioned cloud app via ADFS or via some other SAML federated identity provider, you can slot in a policy that says, check for the presence of this agent, and if not, self-remediate. So that is one of the use cases. The use case you bring up is not 100% addressable, but if you are talking about sanctioned apps, that is certainly a method of doing it. Please.
What's the security of all the data that you're collecting? Like, I guess in 2 parts. One, I see that there's other people that are tweeting, but I don't see their tweet contents.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because you're the one browsing and you're not them? And number 2, if you're collecting all of the tweets from all of your employees in your enterprise, how is that data safeguarded, and how do you prevent leaks from your application itself?
The first question, the tweets that have no value to them. Every single transaction that occurs between a user agent and that goes through the proxy, the user agent, the cloud vendor, and goes through the proxy, is going to be decoded to the ability of our app connector. Clearly, Twitter app connector is working because my tweet came out. There will be automated, non-user generated transactions as well, tracking apps, analytics apps, etc. And it is very likely that we are recognizing these post of a tweet that is an automated signal and not a user-generated signal. So that would be the reason why the value. There's no presenting at NYETM now analog. The second question, we have our own independent SOC 2 Type 2 certificate. We attest, and then we also have third-party verification of Netskope operations. We adhere to the strict requirements of that attestation, so it's only a very limited number of operations folks who can access enterprise data. We carve up tenant space per customer, so Coke and Pepsi's data shall never meet. Each Coke and Pepsi has their own instance of MongoDB and other backend DBs. The access to the data is securely authenticated. I mean, I don't have all of the operational backend to give you an adequate answer, but it's SOC 2 certified, so I'm happy to drill into it on a one-on-one with proper support. It's John.
Do you ever run into data ownership issues between the employee and the corporation?
So the question is, Netskope is pretty powerful, it's pretty revealing. What's the opinion of enterprises? Do they love it or do they hate it? And the truth is, in the year that we've been doing this, I've been doing this, I've run into both spectrums. I've run into the attitude that says, well, I pay the check, you want to work here, you want to bring your own device, that's fine, I allow it, but I'm going to be able to view whatever you're doing. I've run into the opposite, where they expressly only want this granularity, but only for the corporate instance of Salesforce. And they expressly do not want to steer any personal box traffic through the Netskope proxy. So it's really down to the corporate posture. We do have a bypass action on our policies, where if you match the policy, so the policy would say, does not equal mycompany.com, action bypass. So any traffic that comes in, like trying to log into a SaaS application with a SaaS credential, that would not equal mycompany.com, bypass. And then we won't log anything. We won't do policy lookups. Yes?
Going back to your earlier slide where you showed 70% of the apps were business-led versus 10% were IT-led.
Correct.
How many of your customers are using this to really analyze business value or ROI, expected business value of cloud applications versus analyzing it from a compliance perspective? Anyone?
A number of use cases among the number of use cases that we present when we engage first-second meetings, for example, getting your arms around licensing. Do you have more licensing than you actually have usage? Redundancy in a given category. I just did a readout of a report for an enterprise here in New York, 122 marketing apps. There's obvious redundancy there. So the use cases vary. One of the use cases, and I can actually mention the name NetApp, when they used us, and they are a customer, paying customer, when they saw the volume of SurveyMonkey traffic, and then they went back to their procurement department and they realized that they were spending $1 million a year on SurveyMonkey, they were able to use NetApp to get that cost under control. Netscope, excuse me. So there's another use case. Yes, please.
I got two questions. One is, maybe I'm a little bit tired, but I'm trying to figure out how this works. And the other question is about sort of your guidance talking to customers. So the first one is about how it works. So trying to imagine I'm at my computer, the company, and I go on Twitter saying my boss sucks. How does it just work on mobile phones, or is it also sort of like the browser and the web? Like how does it capture the tweets? I wasn't quite sure how that works. And then second, if I did the math right, you sort of did about 12 months in sort of development, and then 12 months you've been out marketing this to people, and it seems like a pretty complex product. So I'd be curious to see, meet people, how does that interaction go? Do they want all this functionality, or do they just want parts of it, or how?
I'll answer the second question first because I think it's easier, and I'll answer the first question as well, but just for the shorter answer first. I will say that my partner and I, Dennis is sitting in the back, we probably have a 40% hit rate from initial meetings to starting a proof of concept. And I think it would actually be higher, and it will be higher as the importance for a cloud access security broker function or vendor becomes more ubiquitous. The more enterprises adopt cloud apps, the more they will need the visibility and the control, and therefore I think that 40% number of going to a POC is going to rise. So that's the answer to the second part of the question. The first part of the question, we provide a list currently of about 5,000 apps. You as the enterprise get to decide what portion of those apps you want to send through the proxy. Let's describe how we do that in a minute. But you can define all 5,000 get sent through Netskope. You can define just cloud storage gets sent through Netskope. You can define just Box gets sent through Netskope. So that's one metric. The other one is the interesting traffic, that which you defined, needs to get steered through that proxy. The steering mechanisms will vary based on endpoint. iOS has a mobile profile from Netskope that establishes a secure communication channel to the proxy. Android, similar. This laptop, similar. That's exactly how I was able to capture that tweet that I just demoed you. At the corporate perimeter, where you have fixed assets, VDIs, PCs, there is also a client-less option. It's an integration of a virtual machine, Netskope virtual machine, either with the enterprise DNS or as an explicit proxy, so that means a pack file on the endpoint. So those are the methods to steer the interesting traffic through the cloud.
Thank you.
I am done. Thank you very much.